Hello guys, welcome back to another sewing tutorial on this channel. If you're stopping here for the first time, you're absolutely welcome. This is Jowins Fashion Ville. Here on this channel we'll upload videos on sewing tutorial, pattern drafting and everything in between sewing. So guys, in today's video we'll be learning how to make a bustier top with Queen Anne's neckline. I'll also be showing you guys a whole lot, including how to pad the bustier top and the entire sewing process. If this is what you're interested in watching, please kindly watch the video to the end, and don't forget to like, share the video and hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe guys if you're yet to subscribe. So guys, let's get started. So guys, on the pattern paper I'll go ahead and draw a straight line which will be acting as a guide for me to take my vertical measurements for the body, or more or less the shoulder line. Okay, so from that point I'll go ahead and mark my bust line, the under bust line and the waist line. This is what we need for this pattern. Okay, so I'll take it again from the shoulder line. I'll go ahead and establish my bust line, the under bust and then the waist line. So I'll go ahead and label it. The bust line is B, the under bust U and the waistline W. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is to take the neckline measurement. For me, I'm doing 4 inches and my shoulder measurement is 7 inches. You can do 3 inches or 3.5 depending on how you want to draft the neckline. Okay, and then from there I went ahead to establish my chest line, which also establishes the armhole. Okay, so coming down, the armhole measurement is 8.5 inches, so I'll go ahead and establish the chest line. Okay, so the next thing to do is to take note of the midpoint of your armhole. From that point you go in by 0.5 inches and then you go ahead to draft your armhole curve. So if you notice, I'm using a pencil to draft my armhole curve simply because I'm doing a little modification around that area. Okay, so it's best for me to use my pencil so that the marker does the final modification. Okay, so the next thing to do is to place the bust span, the half bust span, which is half your nipple to nipple measurement. I'll go ahead and place it there. If it's 8 divided by 2, you mark 4 or 3.75. Okay, so for the underbust contouring, I'll be doing 1 inch on both sides, and then I'm going to be linking it up to the bust point, as you can see me doing. Okay, so I'm using the curvy part of my pattern master to do that. Okay, so guys, having done that, what I'll simply do next is to draft my neckline. So if you actually want to get a precise Queen Anne's neckline, go ahead and draft your neckline instead of using a straight line. Okay, so it's best to draft your neckline first, okay, and then contour with it. Do your overbust contouring with your neckline. So I'll go ahead and mark the midpoint of my shoulder seam. Okay, if it's 4 you mark 2, if it's 3 you mark 1.5, and then I'm going to be linking it up to the bust point. Okay, so I'll be contouring with this lines I just established. So on both sides I marked 0.75 on both sides, and then I'll be linking it to the bust point, as you can see me doing. So guys, what I'll simply do next is to replace the dart intake on the front width. Okay, so the dart intake is 1.5, but I'll add up 0.75, which is half of it, to avoid shortage of fabric, and then I'll go ahead and create a new armhole. So between 0.5 to 1 inch can actually save you a whole lot of stress. So I'll just use my free hand to create a new armhole. So this is the modification I did around the armhole. And also forgot to mention that the neck depth for this pattern drafting is 8 inch, and then I came down around the armhole, I came down by 6 inches, so it's 6 by 8. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to blend. Okay, if you take the measurement of one line of the dart, overbust dart, and the other, you notice that it's different. So I'll go ahead and close it up and ensure that the lines are matching. So I realized that one seems to be longer. You can see that the difference is around 0.5 inches. So I extended it. So that by the time I'll be joining the panels together, one panel won't be longer than the other. So I just simply linked it up to the existing neckline that we had. Okay, so it's not a difficult thing to comprehend. So guys, I think we're good here. So what I'll simply do next is to create the actual neckline, which is the Queen Anne's neckline. You can actually use the straight part or the curvy part like so, but I'll be making use of the curvy part to create it. So I just simply linked it up to my neckline or my neck width measurement of 4 inches. Very easy, guys. So what I'll simply do next is to place my horizontal measurement for my bust, quarter of my bust plus the dart intake around that area, and then the seam allowance. The under bust as well, the quarter of my under bust plus my dart intake of 1 inch, and then I'll add up the seam allowance. Very easy, guys. On the waist measurement, quarter of my bust plus the dart intake and the seam allowance. I'll go ahead and link up the points together. So what I'll simply do next is to place my bust dart, and the bust dart is the difference between the front waistline and the back waistline. Okay, if your front waistline is 18, your back waistline should be around 16 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close up my bust dart, thereby transferring the bust dart to the waist dart. And for you to do this, you have to open up your waist dart, linking it up to the bust point, and then close up the bust dart as you can see me doing. So I'll just go ahead and transfer this bust dart to the waist dart. Okay, I'll just use my masking tape to secure it, and then I'll go ahead and straighten up the line. Okay, so it's very easy. So this is what we have for the front pattern. I'll simply go ahead and cut out the panels. Okay, so for the upper part, which is the yoke, I actually cut this out simply because I want to explain if you're going to be using a different fabric for the yoke, guys, you can go ahead and separate the panels. But if it's a single fabric you're using, you can go ahead and then attach it and cut it. Okay, for me, I simply cut, I joined the panels, I joined that yoke to the lower panel, and then I cut it since it's a single fabric. You can choose to cut your pattern the way it is, or join it and cut on your fabric. I hope you guys understand. So as the tutorial proceeds, you get to see what I did along the line. So guys, this is the back pattern. We have less explanation to do here because it's a simple waist dart. Okay, the neckline, I'll go ahead and establish the armhole. Okay, so we all know that the neck measurement is, the neck width is 4, and I mentioned earlier that you can do 3.5 if you want it closer to your neck, or 3 inches. Okay, and then the neck depth for the back is 1.5 inches. The same armhole, 8.5 from the shoulder slope. Shoulder slope, you come down by 1 inch, and then you establish your chest, your armhole, using the quarter of your bust measurements. Okay, so what I'll simply do here is to eliminate the zipper bulge. So I went in by 1/2 inch, and then I linked it up to my to the zipper. As you can see on that line, this is my zipper allowance is 1.5. From that point I went in by 1/2 inch, and then I linked it up. So I started marking 1.5 inches, linking it up to the neckline. I don't know if you guys understand, but looking at what I'm doing, I'm sure you can understand. Just go in by 1/2 inch, link it up to your neckline, and then start marking your corresponding 1.5 inches. If your zipper allowance is 1.5, you mark. Okay, so having done that, from this point I touched, I'm going to be taking my waist dart. So my waist dart is 4 inches. I'll mark 4 inches, and then mark 4 inches there as well. Okay, or just simply draw a straight line. It's best to draw a straight line because the lines are no longer uniform. So just draw a straight line from there, and then place your dart, which is 1/2 inch on both sides, and link it up to the chest line. So guys, it's very easy. You go ahead and place your bust measurements on the chest line, quarter of it plus your seam allowance, on your waistline, quarter of your waist measurement plus your seam allowance, and then you're good to go. Okay, so have in mind that your back measurement, the total length of your back is 16 inches. If your front measurement is 18 inches, the length of your back should be 16 inches because of the busts, the dart manipulation we did on the front pattern, so it's reduced by the side. So guys, you can see what I did. I just joined my yoke to the lower panel simply because I'm using a single fabric. I can choose to cut it separately. I can also choose to join it like this. Okay, so I'll go ahead and use this pattern to cut on my fabric. So guys, without wasting much of your time, after it's using the pattern to cut the main fabric and the lining, I'll simply go ahead to cut the warden I meant to say. So I placed while my pattern is still on fold, I brought out the warden, placed them on fold, and then I went ahead to cut it out from the under bust, as you can see me. Okay, so the warden is placed on fold, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out the way it is. So it's self-explanatory. So you can see if we leave it this way, it will get into the seam. So I'll remove half an inch from that top. Okay, so the seam allowance is safe. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut the other side of the panel. Still from the underbust, I secured it with a pin. Okay, while the pattern is on the underbust, as you can see, I'll go ahead and place my warden on fold. The warden is on fold, then I'll go ahead and cut it out like so. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and then use my chalk, my tailor's chalk, to mark exactly where I want the warden to stop so that it doesn't get into my yoke. So from that point, I'll go ahead and draft it this way. Just draw a curve using the radius of your bust, maybe between 4 to 4.5. I'll go ahead and cut. Simply follow the direction of the scissors. You understand the point I am trying to make. Okay, so the wording for the panels is complete. So this is exactly what we have here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place it on my fabric, but before doing that, I'll use a fusible interfacing. So this is SD, okay, as it is known in Nigeria, SD. Okay, so I'm going to be placing the SD on the wrong side of my fabric, and then I'll use my Phillips steam iron to fuse it into the fabric. Okay, so just dab dab dab. Once the iron is hot, you use your steam, sprinkle a little bit of water, and then you dab dab dab. Okay, and then to just simply glue itself to the fabric. The essence of the fusible interfacing is to stabilize your fabric, to ensure that your fabric is a bit stable for whatever thing you want to use it for. Okay, so I'm just trying to smoothen out the fabric. Okay, so it won't be rough, and this is what we have. I've actually fused the interfacing and then also placed the wording. The wording, I used hemming gum to glue it to the fabric. Okay, so I'll place it this way and secure it with a pin first. Okay, and then I'll take it to my sewing machine and join the panels together. It's very easy. Okay guys, I'll take it to my sewing machine and then we'll get to see what we have. Okay, I'll do the same for the other side. So this is exactly what the outcome. I've used my iron to relax the seam. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so I'll also go ahead and join the panel for the lining as well. This is the lining. I've joined the panel. Remember that I cut the fabric. I used the pattern to cut the fabric and the lining. So in the same way, I also joined the panel, the lining. If you have fusible interfacing, you can also use on the lining. But I didn't have much for this tutorial. So I went ahead to close up the neckline with the lining, and this is the outcome, looking so good. This is then I also did the same for the back, turn the back with the lining, and then I joined the panels together. Thank you so much guys for watching. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the like button, don't also forget to share the video and be a part of our sewing channel. Please engage with us.